Hi there. Apologies, I've been a bit short on putting the latest update up. I've just had the last 3-4 weeks have been absolutely mad. Well, lots and lots of work on, and then when I've been at home, I've just been trying to keep up with my plants and things like that. So you know, things have taken over. But I thought I'd just do a little bit of an update of where I'm at and the sort of things that have been going on. I suppose the first thing, which has been quite nice to see, is I have my rhubarb. And she's picking up very nicely, so the roots have obviously settled in, keeping a bit of fluid going in there, and she's going quite nicely. So I still have some plans of things that I've done around this corner that I've not got round to. But yeah, further up the garden. Now my little growing house I made, as you can see here, things seem to be coming on quite nicely. I did my final potting up of my tommies and hopefully the peppers. I'm going to sort the peppers out very shortly. A couple of spares at the front and one damaged one, but a couple of spares. I've got a few spares. They're going to go to a friend of mine, so they won't be wasted. But as you can see here, I've got these onto the final pots. I know bigger would be nice, but I didn't really have it. But what I've done is each time I've potted up, so like on this particular one, hopefully it'll show that when I first potted up, I actually potted up to where the original seed leaves were. So that actually then gives you more of the stem. Where they've got all these little getting in the way, all the little hairs and things which are on here. They can all potentially become roots. And so each time I potted up a little. When they came up, these went up to, like I say, the first seed leaf. However, then when I've done my final potting, now I've actually potted up to the first true leaves. I'm also keeping on top of the little side shoots, which I don't want. There's a little side shoot just there, and I like to nip them out as soon as they're big enough. As soon as they're just big enough that I can get my fingers on them, I like to get them out. That causes less damage to the actual stem. And the peppers are in now. I've been reading a bit about pruning these peppers, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave two actually as they are, which will probably be the two best. Then the next two down, once I get to sort of like the second or third set of leaves, I'm going to prune them off. And then what I will do then is with two is I'll prune those once again. So what I'm hoping is that, from what I've read, obviously pruning them back then retards them a little bit while they put more growth on. So then hopefully I'll have two peppers which will then grow tall straight up and as they are, and then hopefully they'll give me the earliest peppers. This is all theory. I have no idea because I've never done that before. I've never even grown peppers before. But then the second ones will hopefully give me the second succession, and then the last ones which I've done more, and it'll also let me see just how much they bush out. So that's my plan there. Here we have some I've got the basil out of the tubs, and I've got two full sets of basil growing in there, so hopefully there'll be quite a bit of pesto coming along very shortly. Now in the first of my coal frames, bump, and here I've got various things quite early on. I've just potted some melons and cucumbers up, although I damaged one of these on the way home, so I'm giving it a chance to see if there is any growing tip left in there. If not, I might have to replace it. I've got some marigolds here and some alyssum, but the marigolds, these are now ready for potting up. As you can see here, you've got the original two leaves, which is a tiny one there. You can just see it's just got the two leaves. They're the seed leaves. Now these are the true leaves starting to form, so these are now ready for potting up, and I'll probably pop them into 3-inch pots, and maybe 2 or 3 in a pot, and then they'll go out later. I'm getting behind on the peas. I put some French beans in, and it didn't look like much was coming, but I am getting a bit of root coming through, so they need sorting out, and I don't have a bed for them yet. Some small brassicas, and then bits of other plants that are going in. Spring onions, nothing showing yet on the collies. Brassicas, same here. No, nothing showing through yet. Got to check them every day. If you don't check them every day, or even a couple of times a day, once they if there's a damp atmosphere around them, the plants do what they call damping off, and the seedlings will die very, very quickly. So you have to keep checking them, preferably, see, at least a couple of times a day. I don't know, put that frame back on. We're expecting a bit of rain, so I don't want that hitting the seedlings. And here's my tray getting ready to go out. Oh, I'm getting some insects. I'm getting something in here that wasn't there the other day. That damage wasn't there. But I've got some sweet corn getting ready to go out. Some more chard. I've got a bit of basil which is going to go up into the tubs by the back garden. Some plants for the new tubs I've built for the flowers. And some brassicas there ready for needing a bed. Oh, I've got some more, oh, bloody hell, coriander. And my first, hopefully what will be my first crop of carrots, I started in a tub a few weeks ago, and beetroot. So, and then as you can see, the potatoes are coming on nicely. All 4 batches. Everything ready. One of my jobs for today, although I can feel the dampness in the air now, is going to be to putting some supports down the side of where the beds are. But the potatoes have both had 2 lots of earthing up now. So that's the last earthing up. So now hopefully I'll get some nice earlies and possibly also second earlies. But yeah, I've got my list of jobs, or the order of jobs. That could be something very important when you're looking at wanting to do a job. You need to look at the order in which you're doing the job, because sometimes one thing leads to another. So here I want to support the sides of the beds. So when I originally dug them out and got them, so at least I could get everything growing, and I want to put supports across here. So then I've got almost like a, although only on one side, it's like a raised bed on one side, and then that runs flat to the path. But that means that will then I can backfill that. Then once that's done, I want to put up a support, and I'm going to build it up all the way down that bottom edge with the same sort of thing. I've just been looking at how I can do that and what I need to do, because I'm losing a lot of ground to the slope. So although I'm not going to go to the whole hog because of the big piece of work doing the whole thing, it will actually let me claim back another couple of yards of that ground, so I can put a decent path, and that will form the outside of these beds. So that's the first step. And again, it's just collecting things as I go along. And here I've got I've got 3 rows of carrots, beetroots, very patchy on the beetroots, I don't know why. The peas are just coming through, so I need to get some supports on the peas. And what I've done here is, as I've done with all the beds, I've basically just forked it up just a little bit to try and make sure I've got any lumps of concrete. I've found concrete, I've found toys, I've found glass jars, I've found all blooming sorts. But I did that and then worked in a lot of as much compost and things I could get. This was all my original bamboo chippings that were rotting down. But then, as you can see here, what I've done in each of the cases here is I just dig a channel, about say 3 inches deep, just about 3 inches deep, although I know that scale I suppose doesn't matter much. Backfill with compost, and then, oh, I've got a pea there. Backfill with the compost, with good compost. Don't just put the ordinary compost in. This is actually it is potting compost. It's not the seed compost, it's the potting compost. And then seeds down on, give it a really good water, then put your seeds in, then top it off at whatever depth is recommended, and that seems to be working quite nicely there. Got some chard finally coming along, it seems to be rooting, it's looking a bit brighter, and the peas are finally going away. Oh, look at this. Almost getting to the point where they're going to start curling around the supports, which is really good. And then the 3 raspberries are growing away well, and unfortunately it's taken a bit longer for the old blackberries, but it has the actual leaves have darkened up very nicely and thickened. It looks like there's a few extra shoots coming through, so that is getting there slowly. At the top end, I've just basically been marking out where I want to go, so there will be another bed from these posts up, and then a path. So I'll have a path here, and then another bed, and a path, and a bed, and a path, and a bed, and a path, and my last bed will be here, which will leave me plenty of room at the side so I can get around with a wheelbarrow. I can access my compost bins, which I've just finished. So I finished these off, well actually only at the beginning of this week, because I'd forgotten to do the fronts. So I actually built the bin so I could start using them, and I'd forgotten to put the sides on so I could put the front on to obviously build that bin up. And then this is a mixture of all the chippings and the rubbish off the garden, which is here. Anything else I get woody or anything solid, and then that mixes in with grass cuttings, with the stuff from the house and everything else. So that's my first one. I'm going to put a roof on this. I've got some wriggly tin that I scrounged, so that's actually in place. So that'll give me my first 2 compost bins, and then obviously room at the sides, and then I can, if I need to use another area for storing, if I can get some manure, I'm going to visit the local stable, see if I can get some manure from there. So I just save all my old compost bags, take my compost bags, I can fill them up, put them in the car. And the last bed I actually made is here, and this is now full with clumps of onions. So what I've actually done is I've got the onions, and I leave them as they are. So there's most of these is either 4 or possibly 5 onions, but plenty of space. You've got like a foot each way of the onions. And I did the same with this bed. I broke it all up, but I actually managed to dig a lot of the soil from around it, because this area has not been used for a long time, and I'd used it for just storing chippings and things, so the soil had become really, really good. So piled all that on there, and then just put a bit of compost and feed in there before the onions went in. So they are quite greedy, and I'm just trying to keep plenty of mulching around for the paths going around. So, you know, plenty of work being done, and I've had as you can see here, a load of, that's all the flags I found I actually dug out from up here, and then some other bits I've had from further down. These were all bricks that were stacked down the side of the garage, keeping all the bloody fencing damp and everything like that. Here comes the rain. So I've had all those to actually fetch up here, which was a fair chore, because I had to clear a bit of a space and managed to get clear an area so I could actually walk up and down the garden, which was just down that sort of an area. So I managed to come up the side of the garage, and then so that's actually going to be my access route, because I had to find some way of getting all the chippings up here without putting them in a dustbin and carrying them on my blooming shoulder. I'm getting too old for that sort of thing. So that's where I'm at the moment. So that's pretty much where I'm at. Practicing my baking. When that gets better, I'll show you. Been baking biscuits and jam and cake. Cake's a bit atrocious, but I'm learning. But my oven doesn't seem to match anything I get. So when I'm walking around now, what I do is I'm just picking up the handfuls of everything wherever I see it, and as soon as a patch becomes big enough, what I look at now is that rather than looking at them as weeds and taking over the garden, I actually look at it as it's self-growing compost, so it's not too bad. Get a rake on it, pull it up, goes on the compost bin, free compost. And at the minute, any areas of ground I've got like here, they're not being productive, so they can grow me some compost. So yes, that's where I'm at, and overall quite pleased. So I think it's time to put the boots on and get up there and get the little retainers on the sides of the compost, then I can clear down the side and then get on with my steps, and it'll start to look a little bit formally. I can even start looking at building the pergola up the top for the good lady. Keep her happy in the summertime. So with that, next job.